especially in Chinese cities. There are a lot of parking garages and a lot of housing complexes. What do you make of this?
Look, I think that's the bigger worry. I mean, is this a big brother is watching? Is this the first step? Because of course, China, that's the linchpin to the bull thesis for Tesla. And that's worth $100 per share. And I think this is a contained issue. The worry is, do they get caught more in the crossfire if Beijing starts to flex their muscles? We all know Giga, that continues to be the major strategic advantage for Tesla, and they're gaining share. But I think this is a bit cautionary and something investors now are watching as Tesla and, of course, Apple continues to be caught in the crossfire of this U.S.-China cold tech war.
Does this dent your Tesla thesis, though?
It doesn't dent it today. I still think it's a contained risk. I mean, we're still talking about what would be potentially 300,000 run rate going to the second half of the year. But I think what it does show is that, as we know, it's a continued Rubik's Cube in terms of being successful in China. And the more they gain share in the EV market, and we saw that in the month of February, we need to make sure that Musk and Tesla plays nice in the sandbox in Beijing, because China, that will be, in my opinion, that continues to be what could be 10% share in terms of overall of the auto market in terms of EVs over the next 2 years. So that's why it's an issue definitely worth watching, contained at this point, but a little bit of a red flag.
Meantime, Dan, Apple has a huge, major planned software update that will require users to give permission before apps can track them with targeted advertising around the web. And there are reports that Chinese developers, Chinese apps are already looking for ways to circumvent this new safeguard that Apple is building into the App Store. Apple has released a statement saying the App Store terms and guidelines apply equally to all developers around the world, including Apple. We believe strongly that users should be asked for their permission before being tracked. Apps that are found to disregard user choice will be rejected. What do you make of this?
Yeah, Cook and Cupertino are doubling down on privacy, especially what we're seeing with this latest release. And of course, Facebook's on the other side of that, and that's starting to become an old Western standoff between Apple and Facebook. But this really goes at the core of not just privacy, but tracking from an advertising perspective. And it's something Apple, they've laid this out, and they're not going to back off. I mean, this is something I think you're going to see more and more from them in terms of data privacy. And it's something that really is the core DNA of Cupertino. And there clearly will be some noise around this and trying to get around it. But ultimately, I mean, this is really, I think it's a line in the sand that Apple's making. And of course, Facebook is not too happy, regardless of however they spin it.
Right. It's not just a line in the sand between Apple and China. It's a line between Apple and Facebook. You wonder about all the companies that rely on targeted advertising, from Facebook to Google. Mark Zuckerberg has indicated it won't necessarily be the revenue drag that some might think it will be. But how big a blow is this for a company like Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, they could spin it how they want, but this is significant in terms of the advertising model, targeting. And remember, Apple, they hold the keys to the kingdom. And that's why when you look at App Store and from a developer perspective, this is significant. It's really a shot across the bow, not just to Facebook, but overall target advertising, as you see in the Valley, but really on both spectrums in terms of where Facebook is, and on the other side is where Apple is. And Cupertino is going to continue to go down that direction in the future.
So what's next, Dan, as against this backdrop of China tensions with the United States, and not just a potential Cold War between two countries, but a Cold War between major technology companies?
Yeah, I mean, look, we think it's ultimately, you'll see a ratcheting down of tensions. I think with Biden coming in, that's what the street anticipates. There's going to be a lot of, we'll call it a game of high stakes poker, but Apple continues to be the poster child. I mean, if you look at China, that's the linchpin to the super cycle thesis. We're seeing that play out. But that's why right now, as much as we could talk about the 10-year moving up 20, 30 bips, China remains the biggest risk for tech, in my opinion. And that's why it's very important we see a ratcheting down of this U.S.-China cold tech war, and we see it. Look at Tesla, Apple, and other semiconductors caught in the crossfire.